Okay. Just getting the TikTok folks set up. We'll start class. Says you reach stage 17. These TikTok things. Let me change. Sure, all these things work. Okay, there we go. Do we have a topic? Yeah. Hi, everybody. Just getting the TikTok folks set up. We're going to have a quick class tonight. Well, it's night in my neck of the woods, so it might be morning in your neck of the woods. But our quick class tonight is going to be about cats in the walls. Why would dried cats be embedded in walls? Okay, so for some people, that's a spiritual practice. Okay. So let's get that material. I'm gonna put my notes together. So that we'll have it ready. So remember to get your drink and your snack, your notebook and your pen. Okay. It's going to be a fast class. Okay. Why would people put dried cats in their walls? Why is why is that a thing as a spiritual practice? Thing. Oh, come on. Oh, what is this? Are you like serious? Don't you just hate it when things are like malfunctioning? What's today's date? Today is the 19th of January, 2026. And we're going to talk about the dried cats in the wall. I hope you're having a great week and you're looking forward to having a greater weekend. This topic, let me see here, dried cats in walls, Northern Europe and North America. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Tochi, mom of the men's and the women's. And my website is at tochi.us or drtochi.com. I encourage you to look up the events page to see what events we have going on. We do have a retreat coming up next week on the 25th of January, reclaiming your authority. Okay. And so it's for those who wish to take their spirituality a notch higher. You want to go beyond just dealing with spirit guides and things of that nature. Hey, Elder Divinity. Remember to give the class a thumbs up or heart. That lets a platform inform more people and let them know the class has started. And again, the topic we're going to look at today is dried cats in walls. Okay, this is a common practice in Northern Europe and in North America. So why would people dry cats and put them on the wall as part of their spiritual tradition or spiritual practices? Why would people do that? Okay. So we do have seats available in the retreat if you're interested in that. 7-day retreat. Okay. We're going to be doing a lot of work. I just finished a retreat was it last Saturday or last Sunday? And I've been sleeping since then. It's quite a bit of heavy work. These retreats, they're heavy work, but they're work that need to be done. Okay. So let's get the class started. I'm going to have the replay of this class posted on YouTube. So if for any reason you're late or you missed the class or parts of the class or want to go over the class again, it will be posted on YouTube for the replay if you want to watch it. Now, TikTok used to save videos, long form videos, and then just like Facebook, they stopped saving long form videos. So I don't know why. Thank you, Active, for liking the live. Appreciate you. Thank you. YouTube folks, remember to give it a thumbs up. Okay. So that YouTube will start notifying people and letting them know the class has started. So today's topic is about dried cats in walls. Thank you for liking the live, Divine Suki. Right. Why would people dry cats and then insert them inside their walls? Like, why would you do this? So, what are dried cats? Dried cats are basically mummified or desiccated cats, often found in walls, chimneys, attics, or under the floors in old buildings. And this was common in Northern Europe. Okay, a whole bunch of folks in Northern Europe used to do this. Okay. And when some of them started emigrating to North America, they brought that spiritual tradition with them. So if they built a house, they would take a cat and dry it. They would desiccate the cat or dry it, mummify it, okay, whatever term you want to use, and they would insert that dried cat inside the wall or in the floor, or they would, put it inside a chimney or attic. Okay. The people who did this were mostly between the 16th and 19th century. So in the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, 1800s. Okay. They were the people who were doing these kind of practices with these dried cats. Okay. And the reason why they were doing this dried cat business was because of their beliefs, the beliefs they had about cats and what cats could do. Okay. Now, in Northern Europe, where they used to do this quite a bit, they believed that cats were very good protection against evil spirits, against witches, and against misfortune. And you still have a lot of people today who believe this about cats, that if you have a cat around you, that cats can quickly find out where witches are, where evil spirits and things, and they will make a sound or they will attack or do something to show you that there's something present. You may not see with your eyes, but they will see it and they will let you know. So, and people still believe that till today. Okay. Now, the people in Northern Europe also believe that cats attracted good luck and prosperity. So, a lot of people would have cats, keep cats, and allow cats to multiply because they believe the more cats around, the more prosperity they had. Now, I'm also going to throw this in here. Remember back in the day, folks used to live with a lot of rats and mice. And so it's also possible that they were having more food preserved because the cats were attacking the mice and the rats. And they were like, okay, this is a good thing. Now, this is me saying this. Okay. Now, there's, and some anthropologists have posited that these dried cats, were possibly considered pet spirits that were, watching over the home. So, the same way that a live cat would be watching over the home is the same way that the dried cat would be watching over the home. Some of us are also aware that cats were a big deal in ancient Egypt. Okay. And they did have um, cat deities. They had more than one cat deity in Egypt. So around the world, people did have a special relationship with cats and things that they believed about cats and what they believed that cats could do, especially spiritually speaking. Okay. So people traditionally have considered that or have believed that cats have supernatural perception, okay? Because cats can see in the dark. And so human beings would be like, okay, if a cat can see in the dark, the cat can see things that I cannot see. Okay. And cats have this ability to sense danger. They're very, very alert. Okay. They're very um sensitive. If there's anything going on around the house or the environment, you'll find out that a cat would generally pick it up much faster than a dog would. Okay, and people paid attention to that. So people just in these places in Northern Europe believe that whatever a cat could do while it was alive, it could probably do a lot more if it wasn't alive. Okay. So just like human beings have this belief that okay, just like people have this belief that ancestors are more powerful than their, people who are living, that you can get your ancestors to do a lot more for you because they're in spirit world, and anything that is in spirit world is more powerful. It's the same way that people were looking at these cats and saying, well, if the cat, if I have a cat embedded somewhere in my home, it will not only protect me and protect my home the way it would if it was alive, but it will do more of that when it was not alive, okay? The countries where they used to practice this a lot in Europe included England, Scotland, Germany, and the Scandinavian countries. Okay. That's where this belief about using cats for spiritual protection was pretty strong, okay? And a lot of their stories and folklores in these areas were connecting cats with witches. So they also believed that witches had cats. And so witches could transform into cats, or witches could use cats in a spiritual sense. This is what they believed in. Okay. And that the witches would use cats to protect themselves. So they, as people, would also use cats to protect themselves from the witches. So look at it as you got a cat, I got a cat. If you try to come for me, my cat will come for your cat, and there will be a cat fight. No pun intended. So, um, they in their culture, in this Northern European culture, they had no problems with nailing or pinning a cat into the wall. Okay. And then letting it dry out in there. So they would take a live cat and crucify it and then embed it in the wall there. Okay. That was their thing. Or they would pin it so that the thing wouldn't move, the animal wouldn't move, and then they'll proceed to seal it in place. Okay. So the practice of embedding cats in the wall came to North America through European settlers from these countries, again, from Germany, from England, from Scotland, and from the Scandinavian countries. Okay. They brought these beliefs with them to North America. Okay. And in North America, and when I say North America, I mean here mostly Canada and United States. I don't know if this would be found in Mexico. It's possible that if you had people who emigrated directly from Europe to Mexico, that you would find it in their homes. But a lot of the older homes, barns, chimneys, you would find cats, mummified, dried cats in the walls, hidden in the walls or hidden in the floors or in the chimney or attic, crevices of the home. Again, the point was that they believed that these cats would take care of them. All right. Now, in the United States, it is said that you would find these in colonial homes that were built in the 1600s, 1700s, and 1800s. Okay. And again, these people who were doing this in the United States carried the same beliefs as the folks in Europe, that this was good luck, that this would protect them, and this was something that you did when you built a home or if you took over a home. It was just like this is standard procedure, what you do. Okay. Now, when these cats, dried cats, were placed in the chimneys, they were intended to catch any spirits that were trying to descend into the home through the chimneys. Okay, they believe that, okay, you have a chimney, it's open to the sky, so things could try to come in there, so they would embed a dried cat there. Okay. Now, when they put them under the floors or behind walls, they would use this as apotropaic devices, in other words, protective devices to protect the thresholds, okay, which are considered spiritually sensitive areas. So they will put that in the floorboard near the doors, especially the doors coming in from outside, the windows coming looking in or coming in from outside. Okay. Not so much the internal doors in the house, but the external doors and the external windows. Okay. They would also place these dried cats near the main entrance of the home because, again, they believe that if an evil force or evil spirit or wicked witch were to come, that witch would try to come in through your front door. Remember the movie Sinners, where the vampire was outside and the vampire would try to come in through the front door, but it needed an invitation. Okay. Okay. Some of these cats will be carefully wrapped and then put in place and covered up. Some were nailed in place. Okay. But the important thing is that they were getting a cat and doing this and putting it in place. Okay. So, what you could probably ask and say, well, did the color of the cat have anything to do with how they did what they did? And some researchers have said the choice of cat probably wasn't random. Okay. For instance, they would use a black cat because they believe that a black cat was especially powerful. Okay. They could use a tabby cat, a white cat, depending on the specific spiritual thing that they wanted that cat to do in the house. Okay. When we look at other cultures in other parts of the world, and we look at ancient Egypt also had mummified cats. They also had mummified cats. But these in Egypt, they were considered sacred animals and sacred representatives of the gods. Okay. So they were venerated and acknowledged. So in places like Egypt, hold on, there was an ambulance going by. So they would theirs was more like for spiritual purposes more than protective purposes. Okay. This cats were considered holy. Cats were considered sacred in ancient Egypt. Okay. The same way that cows are considered sacred to the Hindus in India. Okay. Um Other kinds of animals were also used, and we can look at them in future classes, like horse skulls. Horse skulls, the skull of a horse. Those are also used as protective talismans in England and the United States. And chicken bones. Chicken bones were also used for protective purposes and still carries forward in folklore and hoodoo practices, the use of chicken bones for protection, for hexes, curses, and removing hexes and curses. Okay, right? Okay. So, what questions do you have about today's class? Like I said, it was going to be a quick class, a short class about, yeah. It's while I wait for any questions that may be coming forth, it's the use of animals in spiritual traditions. When you really start looking at how animals were used in spiritual traditions, it's very interesting. Okay. And I think maybe the next class I should do will be on I've already done a class some years ago on animal totems. So if you're interested in animal totems, you can see that. You can watch a replay of that video class on my YouTube channel, Dr. Tochi YouTube channel. But when we talk about the spiritual uses of animals, and we start looking at that from around the world, we would find very interesting use cases. People, in a spiritual sense, had beliefs that about animals, that animals had the same or more power alive, I mean dead than alive. Okay. And so there were spiritual practices around eating certain parts of an animal, especially the inner organs, using animal parts for medicines. Okay. For example, um, two of my bracelets here. Okay. Not this one. Let me take this. This one is a fancy one. But these bracelets I have over here. Here, I need to turn my wrist around so you can see that. Okay. So one is for protection. One of these bracelets is for protection, and the other one is for favor. And when they were being prepped, those of you who were my advanced students will remember I showed you the video of the medicines that went into making these bracelets. Okay. And they're the same bracelets like I have for sale on my website. Okay. You can just do a search and it will pull it up for you if you do a search on my website at tochi.us. Those of you who watched, the advanced members who watched that video that I shared, if you remember, there were dried animals being added to the medicine. There were dried animals being added to the medicine. And each one that was added to the medicine had a reason for being added to the medicine. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to get a random collection of animals and add them to my medicine. Each one had a purpose. And for those of you who watched that class, the video, remember what happened each time each dried animal was added to the medicine. Okay. So there's a certain procedure and certain things that happen when each got added to the medicine. Okay. This is not an uncommon thing in indigenous religions. If you go to Asia and you hang out with the medicine people in Asia, you will see something similar. If you hang out with the medicine people of Europe, you will see something similar. If you hang out with the medicine people of the Americas in Africa, you will see the same thing happen. There's the documentary. There's these people that did very beautiful documentary, and I remember some of us watched it on my Patreon. I was able to actually I think I did a live play, and then some of the members were able to watch that with me. Let me get their name because I signed up for their newsletter and everything. And okay, so this one is Sand. Okay, so there's this couple, Mauricio and his wife. They and they have something starting tomorrow. I think it's for 7 days. Yeah, Maurizio and Zaya Benazzo. Okay, and they did this documentary, and there are multiple, and I think every month or so they release a new video. The one they have starting tomorrow is 5-day online journey with Aboriginal elders in Australia. Okay. And they have several videos they're going to show about how the Aborigines of Australia live, do their things, talk about the impacts of colonialism and so on and so forth. But and I'm trying, okay, it's a part of the Wisdom of the Ancestor series. Yeah. So they have this series they made as a documentary called The Wisdom of the Ancestor series. And it looks like they made 12 films across 5 continents where they collaborated with indigenous communities who were returning to their traditions after colonization. And they did some in Africa. I think it was in East Africa. Okay. And so they did several in Europe. So indigenous communities in Europe, um, especially the northern parts of Europe, where you have people who live in the cold regions. Okay. So again, when you watch their documentary, even though the theme is about colonialism and the impact of colonialism on their cultures, but you will also hear and see in these documentaries how the people interacted with animals in their culture and the role of animals in their culture. Okay, they talk about the role of animals in their culture. So it wasn't just, oh, I have a pet, the way we are in the world today, in the Western world today. Oh, I have a pet, I have a cute pet, and I spend all kinds of money on my cute pet, and my pet doesn't do anything but just eat and exist. A lot of indigenous communities have a more in-depth relationship with their animals. And that relationship is both physical and spiritual. So it's not just about I'm going to get a cute dog and feed it, and you can come to my house and see my Fifi, and no. If you came to their home and saw Fifi, Fifi had a job to do, physical job and spiritual job to do in the household. And they would transfer, okay, they would transfer the animal abilities, their understanding of animal abilities to the spiritual abilities of the animal. So just like we just talked about these cats in the walls, they believe that since cats could see in the dark, cats would make very good spiritual guardians and protectors because the cats would be able to see what the human being would be unable to see. And so they would delegate that spiritual function and spiritual role to the cat. I want you to see what I cannot see and inform me. So we need to understand that when we're looking at this concept of cats in the walls, it wasn't just, oh, I'm going to take this cat and put it in the wall and be done with it. There were certain rituals and things that were said before, during, and after the placement of these cats in the walls. Okay. And the information and ways of doing these things were usually handed down in the family. or in the community. So if you belonged to the community, you would know how your community did these kinds of things. Oh, okay, we're building a new house over here. We need to put a cat in the wall. You already knew what the procedure was. You already knew what kind of cat you needed. You already knew how you were going to go about it, what needed to be said, and how it needed to be said. And that whole thing in itself would be a ritual. You would place the cat there. Okay. And then you will charge the cat with the role of protection. Okay. And the stopping of evil and the bringing of good fortune and things of that nature. Yeah. So I just thought it was interesting, this topic, because there are times when people think when we talk about things like this, they'll be like, "Oh, that's only that's in Africa. Those are the kind of thing that Africans would do, or those are kind of things that Caribbean folks would do, or that's a thing that the Mexican people would do, or the kind of thing that the Argentinians would do." Whatever stereotype it is. And people don't realize that there's a lot of the stuff that happened and still happens in places like Europe. It still happens, especially in the rural areas of Europe. And if you do have the opportunity to travel to Europe, I would encourage you to visit the rural areas. And you will find out that the rural areas of Europe are not much different from your rural area. They're not much different. The only difference you'll see is probably the skin color and the language, and maybe the food. But outside of that, the way people live in the rural area in Africa is the same way that the people live in the rural areas in Europe. The same games and politics that people have in the rural areas of Uruguay is the same thing you will find in Europe. The same superstitions you will find in the rural areas of Asia, you will find it in the rural areas of Europe. But, fortunately, media just shows us the nice parts. Oh, will just show you the big buildings and the tourist attractions and stuff like that. But you really need to go to the rural areas. Anytime you go to a different country, try and go to their rural areas. Try and check out their villages. And you will find out that the same way people think in this village in this continent is the same way the people in the village in another continent think. The same way they behave across villages, same thing. The same way you would go to the countryside and you have chickens running around, flies all over the place. Same thing in every continent, in the rural areas. I think you might have some differences in places like where there's ice. I would say maybe in the Arctic, because I'm not sure they have flies up there in the ice. But, and I'm not sure they have chickens. They don't have chickens up there. But the same way that people sit around and gossip and have strange superstitions is the same thing. Same thing. Okay, Mrs. Allen says some part of Ireland still has latrines, which is pit toilets. Yeah, that's true. Even in Canada, there are parts of Canada that have pit toilets, latrines. There are parts of United States that still have pit toilets. And I know sometimes it'd be hard to believe that, but it is true. There are pits of Europe. You see, like she said, in Ireland, that still has pit toilets. Okay. All you just have to know where to go in each country to see these things. So so I think when we look at spiritual traditions, it can be fascinating to see how people interact with animals, how they um narrate narrate narrating it's like my English, how they tell their stories, narrate how they narrate their stories about how they and their animals intersect in the field of spirituality, the expectations they have for their animals when it comes to spirituality, and their beliefs about animals when it comes to spirituality. Even when you talk about hunters, especially in indigenous communities, have certain beliefs about the abilities, spiritual abilities of the animals they hunt. Okay. And archaeologists, when they um, research and dig into, you know, prehistoric and historic hunters, even in Europe, it's fascinating to see how they deconstruct those tribal beliefs around the animals that they hunted. Okay. And I think we should have a class. Do you think it'd be great to have a class on hunting, spiritual hunters and their spiritual beliefs around animals? Do you would that be of interest? Let's see, because if you'd be interested in that, I could put together a quick class on that as well. And so, and then from that you can see, uh, okay, okay, Scorpio intuitive. Okay, you would love a class like that, yeah. And you would see, Chris, and more. Okay, okay. Well, all right. Well, thank you. All right, so I'll put together one. Hunters have rituals before they go hunting. They have rituals. They have things they do, things they say, expectations, certain conversations that happen before, during, and after the hunt. But modern day hunting with high powered equipment, a lot of times has done away with that. So right now people use, things with binoculars and things with scopes and drones and whatnot to do their hunting out in the bushes. But when you look at how indigenous communities go about hunting, like those, let's say you have the Native Canadians, Native Americans, a lot of African societies. Okay. Okay, Chris. Okay. Scorpio Intuitive says, I am Cree, indigenous from northern Canada. My dad often calls moose an ancient indigenous tradition that really works. Yeah. In a lot of indigenous traditions, North American traditions, so when you start looking at indigenous Americans, you know, like the Cree, okay, like the Inuit, they looked at animals as siblings. They look at animals as siblings. Oh, okay. And Absolute says this is true. Native Americans ask for forgiveness of the land and spirits and permission to go hunting. Okay. And Scorpio Intuitive says, and we eat the heart, kidneys, and first to honor the moose for giving its life to provide for us. I can just feel goose flesh coming, goosebumps coming upon my flesh just reading that. But nowadays we don't do that because we farm our animals, we mass produce animals, and so we don't do that. And even in Africa and in South America, that used to be the deal. You would inform the animal to be hunted that this is what you're going to do. And in some places, they would say the animal would offer itself. It's fascinating when you read accounts of hunters. And let's do a class on that. I'll do a class on that. I'll do a class on that. It's the in some places the animal would offer itself. Hunters would have code of honor. There are certain animals they will not hunt. For instance, pregnant animals. Okay. Pregnant animals, you don't hunt a pregnant animal. But nowadays, people just think anything moving is fair game. But if you ask traditional hunters, they will tell you that you do not hunt a pregnant animal. And if for some reason you hunt an animal that is pregnant, you have to make some form of reparations. You have to apologize. And there are certain ways you have to apologize to the spirit of that animal, the spirit of that animal's tribe. You don't grab that. Let's say you accidentally slaughtered uh, a pregnant animal. You don't just say, okay, yeah, I got a bonus and take all of them home and go and eat. And also, when you hunt, you don't waste. You don't waste what you hunted. But unfortunately, we have a lot of hunting that goes on even in the seas. Remember those stories about people, the people who hunt sharks for their fins just to make shark fin soup, and they will catch the sharks, cut off their fins, and throw them back in the water. And then the sharks would die a slow death in the water because they can't swim. They cut off their fins. Okay. So there's a whole bunch to be said about uh, spirituality and hunting. Yeah. Breeze 8632 says, "What? Are you serious?" Yeah, Google it for yourself. There's so many videos on it. Even organizations and groups that have been trying to stop these people, so they will go clandestinely and go shark hunting. They'll do it in the middle of the night. They'll do it in remote places because they get high dollar. They have people who are willing to pay anything just to have shark fin soup. It's a delicacy in some parts of Asia. And you have very wealthy people who are willing to pay anything for it. And so, because they're willing to pay anything for it, these people will do anything to get it. and there were some people that made some videos, and I think they made some of them are open videos, some of them are hidden videos, where the fishermen would just catch all these shark, bring them on board, cut off their fins, and throw them back alive back into the water. So imagine, man, I don't even want to go there because I have to be mindful of these platforms. Okay. So how do you expect the sharks to make it? Yeah, it is heartbreaking. But people, you see, because there's a demand for it. There's a demand for it. If there wasn't a demand for it, people wouldn't do it. And I think for advanced members, we could even look at, and of course, I can't do it on these current platforms because um, it will be mayhem. Um, but for advanced members, if there are any advanced members present in class now or watching the replay later, we could even consider human beings. Okay. Because some of the arguments that some Pentecostals and evangelicals have against the ancestors of people is that their ancestors were involved in hunting people. Okay. And sometimes they try to sanitize it by saying, your ancestors were the ones hunting people. My ancestors didn't. Therefore, your ancestors are evil and mine were not, because that's what your ancestors did. That's what my ancestors found your ancestors doing. Therefore, you come from bad lineages because that's what your ancestors used to do. However, we already know that this practice was done in every nook and corner of the globe. When I say every nook and corner, it was done in every nook and corner. There was a news I saw recently where the archaeologists excavated a pit in Europe, in modern day Europe. I forget which country it was, and there were about 700 skeletons, children's skeletons up in that hole. And archaeologists generally have a way of determining if they find several skeletons or several bones in one location, they usually have a way of determining how those people ended up in that hole. And so they will look for cut marks on the bones. And if cut marks exist on the bones, they pay attention to the location of cut marks. Where the cut marks on the spinal bones, on the vertebrae, where they're around the vertebrae of the neck, where the cut marks on the bones found on the skull, where there dents found on the skull or on the limbs, where there cut marks found on the bones on the limbs. So they look for things like that, and that is what lets them know how those people ended up where they ended up. And I'm saying it this way that I'm saying it because again, we have to be very mindful of the platforms where we are. So archaeologists generally can start researching those bones and doing what they need to do, and they can tell you how those people ended up there. Okay. So we then find that when people point and they're feeling very self-satisfied in their religious whatever, and they're pointing and say, well, your ancestors did all that and my ancestors never used to do that. We find that that's a fallacy. That's falsehood right there. Everybody's ancestors was involved in those kind of shenanigans. Everybody, bar none. Everybody's ancestors, bar none. That's why there are some. See, we talked about dried cats in the walls. There are some places where you find dried folks in the wall. Because again, that was the spiritual practices or religious practices of those people. And they had their beliefs as to what they wanted those people to achieve where they put them. And in many cultures, if a wealthy person passed away, they were not going to inter that person alone. They would say, well, this person had servants while they were alive. So we have to supply them with servants who are going to serve them on the other side where they've gone. And in some cultures, they would have some family lineages whose function it was to supply servants for the hereafter. Okay, so you can look up, you can find that amongst the Yorubas. Okay, they're called is it the Abobiakas? Let me get the term correct. Make sure, because it's been a while. Abobaku. Okay, Abobaku. The Abobaku, this is in the Yoruba culture, is a man appointed to serve the king in life and to accompany him after life. Okay. So, unfortunately, even though it's uh, I don't even know what adjective to use. It's not something that I can teach on YouTube or TikTok. So that would be a Patreon class. So if you are on my apprentice or apprentice plus and you'd be interested in learning about these things, just let me know and we'll organize a class for that on Patreon. Okay. Well, you might look at it, Crease, you might be looking at it as cruelty, but there comes a point where you have to step back, as hard as it is, and ask the question, why would people do these things? Why would they believe these things? And another point I'm going to make, which might sound a little bit controversial but needs to be said, is this. If what they were doing did not work, why would they continue doing it? Let us just try to be objective for a minute. If what they were doing did not work, why would they continue doing it? If what they were doing did not work, why was it so widespread? Why was it global? Why would you have people in different parts of the world who were not connected with each other, who didn't know each other, who didn't know of the existence of each other, do these things? So how is it that you have some people, the Mayans and the Inca out in South America, were having certain practices that are similar to the practices of the Zulu out in South Africa, and they never met, never connected, didn't know each other. And then what the Zulu were doing in South Africa was similar to what the Egyptians were doing in North Africa, and they never met, never connected. And to put it put it in context, Africa is larger than North America. Even though you look at today's maps and the way they draw the maps, they make it look like the continent of Africa is smaller than North America. But if you look at the square footage, look at the actual data, Africa, the continent of Africa is physically, the land mass of Africa is larger than all of North America. And when I say all of North America, I mean Canada, United States, and Mexico combined. But if you just look at the cartographs, it looks like it's smaller than that. They try to make Africa look the same size as Australia. Okay. All right. So, so you have folks in South Africa who had nothing to do with the folks in North Africa. Is that huge? You have folks in South America who had nothing to do with folks in in Asia. People in Asia had nothing to do with people in the Arabian Peninsula. But what you will see is a consistency, a common theme. Why were they treating cats the same way? Why were they treating dogs the same way? Why were they treating women a certain way? Why were they treating children a certain way? Why were they treating slaves a certain way? Why did they have these similar beliefs? So that for me is a fascinating part. And we're talking about people who didn't speak the same language. So it wasn't as if one was like, well, let me make a long trip, a 2-year trip to this other place and tell them what I'm doing. Even if they went there, they didn't even speak the same language. And even if they went over there, the people where they went could probably offer them up as a sacrifice because they'd be like, who's this? All right. So again, we need to slow down and start thinking about it. Why is it that you have this commonality of practices across various parts of the globe? Amongst people who didn't know of each other, didn't know of the existence of each other, didn't speak the same language, didn't have the same culture, didn't look alike, didn't even eat the same foods, had no way of being in touch with each other. Why were they doing these things that were so similar? So for me, that's the interesting aspect of religion and spirituality. So I look at that and I say to myself, there had to be something that was working for them, excuse me, for them to be doing these things. Because if it didn't work, they wouldn't do it. So there's something in the mess, in that whole mess, that was giving them the kind of results they wanted. Okay. And even in present day, there are stories and allegations that people still do these things when they are, I'm trying to say this carefully and trying to say this politically correctly. Let's just say there are people who still resort to these old practices in their current businesses. Okay. There are people who still resort to these practices in their current businesses. So, in certain places, there are people, for instance, who will use these practices to set up their churches or to set up their temples or set up their mosques or set up their whatever, but they will say to you, "Oh, I'm Christian." And remember in the class we did, was it yesterday or day before, okay, when we talked about the witch bottles, a lot of people who were constructing and using witch bottles still describe themselves as Christians, and they will say the witch bottles were not witchcraft. They said they called it folk tradition. They gave it a different name. Okay. So there are people, for instance, in the business of Christianity who will use these indigenous practices we're talking about to support and to build their Christian business. But they don't do this in view of their congregation because they know their congregation would not approve. The congregation will be shocked and horrified. Okay. So they do it privately. They use it to set up their church, especially their church building. And so people start coming to church and they're doing all kinds of things. And people are unaware that even the ground that they walk on in that church has been spiritually activated according to indigenous practices. And allegedly, it happens in North America as well. Allegedly, it happens in Europe as well. So again, people will do what works. Are there consequences to doing this? Are there negative consequences to doing this? What is negative for you might be positive for me, and what might be negative for me might be negative too. So it depends on which side you are. And remember, as I always say, spirit guides are transactional. They're neutral but they're also transactional. And that's why I did that little video clip I did on Diddy and Israeli Dantour. And so if you haven't seen that little clip, is a little short. I posted it on TikTok and I also posted it on YouTube, and I think I posted it on Facebook and Instagram as well. Go watch that little clip and then think about it. And then see what I wrote in the cap. Okay. So as long as everybody's willing to uphold their end of the bargain, anything is possible. Everything has a price. Everybody has a price. Okay. So a lot of these religious leaders understand these spiritual principles, but the rest of us don't realize or understand these principles. And so we still struggle with the concepts of karma and good and bad. And we're out here saying, and God sees this, and God will see this, and God will do this, and God will do that, and God will do this. And a lot of us end up having magical thinking around how the universe operates. But there is no amount of God is watching that has stopped wars in the world. You can say that all day long, every day. You still have people caught up in wars, caught up in conflicts. You still have people being victims of abuse, misuse, DV, and things of that nature. And people just basically throw up their hands and say, oh, God is watching. And religion, which is an instrument of control, will support that narrative. Because as long as religion supports that narrative, they get paid. They get protected and they get paid by the system. So it is in the interest of religion to push and support that narrative. Don't do anything. Revenge is mine, saith the Lord. And so we keep on tolerating and accepting and tolerating and enduring and enduring. Okay. So, because religion, organized religion, does have a lot of benefits that they get from the system. So, it is in their interest to support the system. That's why you have tax-free status. Okay. So, they're not going to turn around and bite the hand that feeds them. So, that's why they will tell you to endure. Okay. You go and they'll say, don't take the law into your hands. Don't worry. Um, you will be rewarded on the other side. So, in other words, continue to suffer until you leave the planet. But you and I know that once you leave the planet, it's game over. There's no do-over. There's no, oh, okay, I left the planet now, and I'm going to see you suffer for what you, there's nothing like that. Once you're off the planet, you're off the planet. So if I can convince you to continue enduring then I can continue having my way with you and doing whatever I want to do to you, and you will not complain. And I will keep telling you, oh, if I slap your one cheek, turn the other cheek. Oh, if someone offends you, forgive them 70 times 7. My job is to make sure that you do not wake up. That's a function of religion. The function of religion is to make sure you do not wake up. Because if you wake up, they lose their profit. Okay. So the church and other organized religions will use whatever methods they find. And it doesn't matter whether it's an indigenous practice, they don't care if it's an African practice, an Asian practice, a Native American practice, a Native Canadian practice, a South American practice, a North American practice, an Aboriginal Australian practice. It doesn't matter what that indigenous practice is. If it gives them an advantage, they will use it. But they will tell you if you use it, you are sinning. Because if you use what they use, then you will be equal in power to them or greater in power. That is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. If you know what I know, then I cannot control you. If you do what I do, I cannot control you. Okay. So it is in my interest to condition you. So it is in my interest to condition you to obey, to condition you to endure. It is in my interest to condition you to accept. It is in my interest to condition you to indulge in magical thinking. Something somewhere bigger than me is coming to save me. And so, even in our so called modern day indigenous religions, we find that thinking. And so, this is the reason why you will go on social media and people will make these pretty posts that we use Canva and make these pretty looking posts. Oh, the ancestors are coming to save you. The ancestors are not sleeping. Just keep on keeping on, and one day the ancestors will come. Why is it that it's one day the ancestors will come? Why aren't the ancestors coming now? So you see that religious thinking has crept. The religious thinking has crept into our modern day spirituality because all of it is to keep you from taking action. If I can get you not to take action, it gives me enough time for me to do what I need to do. So even if down the road you begin to wake up, you will find out it is too late. Let me pull up that quote by Nietzsche. Mhm. Let me. There's this. Give me a moment to find that quote. Um, what was that saying? Because I want to quote it to you verbatim. Nietzsche, I believe it was Nietzsche that had that saying. When if I can't find the exact quote, I'll tell you what the quote is, and then maybe you can find it yourself. Hold on, I'll find it. Just give me a minute, I'll find that quote. No, 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 no. Okay, so I found it. Okay, so here it is. Okay. Nietzsche said, are you still with me? I actually ChatGPT pulled it up for me. ChatGPT is a lot faster. Okay, so here it is. Nietzsche said that in every corner of the earth, and I want you to listen to this very carefully because it applies to all of us. Nietzsche said that in every corner of the earth, there are people sitting around just waiting and hardly knowing what they're waiting for, and often not realizing that their waiting is in vain. When the moment to act finally comes, it comes too late. Their best years and energy have already been wasted sitting still. When they finally do rise up, their limbs are numb and their spirit too heavy, and they lament it is too late, having lost confidence in themselves. The painful part for me in that quote is this: people sitting around just waiting. They don't know what they're waiting for, and they don't realize that their waiting is in vain. That for me is the most painful part of the quote. So we go to church or go to whatever religious institution we go to, and we're told to wait. Wait on the Lord. And you think you are waiting on God. They say, wait. God's time is the best time. Everything is in God and God. And so we sit there waiting, not realizing that we're waiting in vain. When the moment to act finally comes, it comes too late. Their best years and energy have already been wasted sitting still. When they now try to rise and take action, their limbs are numb. Go talk to someone who has not stood up for years and to ask them, how does it feel? How do your legs feel if you just decide one day I want to get up and start walking? They will tell you if they've been sitting for a while or laying in bed for a while, or they've been paralyzed for a while, they will tell you it's a very frustrating feeling, because they will tell you that their mind is saying, get up, but their limbs will not obey. And many of us are like this mentally. We're waiting. We think we know what we're waiting for, but in reality, we don't know what we're waiting for. And we don't realize that what we're waiting for, we're waiting in vain. We're waiting for nothing. What we're waiting for is non-existent magic. Many of us are just wasting the years of our lives waiting. And so we go to church and we're told, wait on the Lord. God's time is not your time. They're not telling you to wait for your intuition, because your intuition, just like that saying comes, it says, when that moment comes, that's when the person finally decides to listen to their own intuition. But by the time they now start listening to their intuition, it's too late. All the power has left their limbs. They can't stand. There's no power left in their arms. They can't do anything. Arms, they can't do anything. And for many of us, that is what religion does to us. So by the time you get to your 60s, 70s, 80s, and you realize that that religion was a scam, it is too late. There's nothing you can do. It is too late. The best years of your life are gone. The things that you could have done to make profit for yourself and have a good life for yourself, you took it and gave it away. and you were sitting and waiting and hoping and believing that a miracle would come, that there was some kind of magic that will happen. And here you are in your 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and you realize that you are waiting in vain. Many of us are just sitting and waiting in vain. And this is what Nietzsche said. Nietzsche said this. Yeah. If you read his Beyond Good and Evil, yeah, people will wait, people will hesitate, people will be there analyzing, people will be indulging in magical thinking, saying to themselves, the right time will come. And that is what religion does to us. And we have that happening even in our modern day, what we call even modern day traditional religion. You see somebody saying, oh, I'm a practitioner of, name whatever the indigenous religion is. Somebody might say, okay, I'm practicing an Asian traditional religion or an African traditional religion, or I'm practicing, an Inca religion or Mayan religion or whatever term that they give it. But you will, and remember, I said this before, there is no religion now, there is no spiritual path now or religious path now that is not contaminated with other cultures, other beliefs, and other religions. There's no pure tradition today. There's no pure tradition. That's why you have Christianity mixed with indigenous practices. That's why you have Islam mixed with Christianity, Islam mixed with traditional practices. That's why you have um, African traditional practices mixed with some Hinduism up in there, mixed with some Buddhism. Okay. Everything is mixed, nothing is pure. Nothing is pure. So you will have someone saying to you, oh, I'm practicing, let's just say I'm practicing Ifa. And they light a candle. Did Orumila have a candle? Did Obatala have a candle? Or they will light incense? Somebody will say, oh, I practice Ordinary. Did Amadioha have incense? You see somebody saying, okay, I want to go and make an offering to, I want to make an offering to Mami Water or Papi Water. and in the baskets they will have biscuits and candy, bubble gum. And you ask the person, why do you have bubble gum, candy? Sometimes they will offer soda. They'll tell you, oh, the spirits will drink this, is sweet. When your ancestors were making offerings to Mami Wata, how many bottles of Coke, Sprite, or Fanta did they offer? How many candies did they offer? How many cookies did they offer? I saw a video on TikTok where a woman was making offerings at a river, and she came with boxes and crates of drink and food. And there were men in the water, young men in the water. As she threw each thing in the water, those men would dive in and grab it. And she was throwing all kinds of food stuff and whatnot in the water. And the young men, because they already knew that this was standard procedure. Oh, somebody's coming to the river to make offerings. And so they were there waiting. So once she showed up, and she showed up in that video, I saw like police officers or military officers with her. So I'm assuming she was making this offering. Either she herself was a very important personality, or she was doing this on behalf of a very important personality. There were multiple law enforcement or military people there. There were well-dressed people there, and they came there. They had so many things. And she would grab it and throw it. And sometimes the young men wouldn't even wait for it to hit the water. They would jump up mid-air and grab it. She was throwing in multiple boxes and crates of drinks and food and clothing and all kinds of things into the water. And nobody's sitting there and asking, was this what your ancestors gave? They had chickens and goats and things of the nature. And I'm assuming those young men also grabbed all of those out of the water. So the point I'm trying to make here is that there's nothing we are practicing today that is pure the way that it used to be practiced back in the day, back by our ancestors. No one is practicing anything pure. What we practice today is an amalgamation of different cultures and different traditions and different religions. That's what we're all doing here. But there needs to be a point where we stop and we say, is this working? Am I just doing what is called performance spirituality? Or am I doing results-based spirituality? Because many of us are into performance spirituality. If I show up at the riverside, I'm going to dump all these candles, candy, incense, everything in here in the water. Everybody's going to see that I'm giving a huge offering. Is that the thing that is required? Is that the thing that will bring the results that I'm looking for? Or is there something else? And there are sometimes you will have spiritual practitioners dumping all these things into the water. But the actual thing that solves the problem is such a little thing. And they go do that little thing. But they will not tell you that it is that little thing that solved the problem. They will that so what they're doing is in two parts. There's one part that is performance, which is what the people want. Because they know if they tell you the truth, that the issue can be solved with this little thing, with little fanfare you would not believe. So they're like, okay, we'll put on a show for you because that's what you want and that's what you expect. Spiritual practitioners, we do that. And yes, I said what I said. We do that. Because there's sometimes you will say to somebody, oh, all you have to do is do this little thing. Well, thank you. Thank you for that, Scorpio Intuitive. I'm here because I know Dr. Tochi's rituals work. I have been doing them long enough. Well, thank you very much. There are times we know that this little thing is all you need to do, and this is only going to take you 5 minutes to do, and it will solve the problem. But we know if we tell you this, you may not believe, and you will argue, and you will start saying, how am I sure you are a true spiritual practitioner? You don't know what you're saying, you don't know what you're doing. So we'll put on a spectacle for you. But the real thing that solved the problem, we've already done it. And you did not know. And the rest of it is just spectacle for you so that you be convinced and so that you be satisfied. And so you can go tell your friends and family, yes, I did this huge ritual. It was impressive. But the actual solution to your problem was this little thing. And you probably weren't even paying attention when we did it. And so religion and the people who run the business of religion recognize this. And so so religion gives you a spectacle because that's what you want. And so even when you say you are involved with a traditional or indigenous religion, the practitioners of that indigenous religion will give you a spectacle because that's what you want. You have the drumming and the dancing and the outfits and the colors and the processions and the offerings and the hula balooing and the bula huluing and the shouting and the singing and the and the multiple candles and incense and the whole thing because that's what you want. And yes, I belong to this religion. Well, what? Oh, my religion is not an Abrahamic religion. My religion is an indigenous religion. My religion is a traditional religion. My religion is the religion of the ancestors. And you don't know that all you're doing is performance spirituality. And the real test of it is when I come to you and I say, here's my problem. Can you solve it for me? And then you start saying, oh, yeah, we need to get 14 goats, 23 chickens. We need to get this and get this and get that. And we need to make a procession. And no one is saying, is this how my ancestors used to solve problems? Did they do all this thing that I'm doing here? and all the beads and the flowers and the rings and the bangles and the outfits and the nyeh and the nyeh, is that what they did to solve their problems? No one is asking that question. So yeah, give me time. I'll put together a class on hunting and spirituality, and we can look at that. And then if we want to go more detail, I'll do that on Patreon. And so if you're a paying member on Patreon, we can have that class, and then we can have a conversation around that class. Okay. So if you learned something from today's class, let's have your AYE in the comment section. Did you learn something? Did you pick up anything that was dropped today? Okay, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Absolute. Thank you, The Vulgar Philosophy. Thank you, Erzuli. Okay, someone said I over here. I missed it. Thank you, Elder Divinity. Thank you, Scorpio Intuitive. So when you have time, look that up. People putting their dried cats in the wall. Thank you, Michia. Okay, Absolute. Good job. Vulgar Philosopher, do you have any videos to help you find out your lost indigenous religion? What do you mean by your lost indigenous religion? What do you mean lost indigenous religion? What do you mean by finding out your lost indigenous religion? Why are you looking for religion? We just said that religion is a form of control, and you want to go and look for your lost indigenous religion? My tribe lost our religion when the colonists came. Excuse me, spirituality. I don't have any videos on helping you find your spirituality. Your spirituality is individual to you. If you apprentice under a spiritual practitioner, they can help you determine which of them might work best for you. That's what I used to do with my coaching students. So if you're interested in that, you can look at my coaching page because it's a process. Developing your spirituality is a process. It's not a personality test. It's not like a quiz that you send somebody to a web page and they fill out the questions and ta-da, here's the answer. It's a process. Your spirituality is individual to you. It is written that our spirit quit speaking to us when we integrated with the colonist. I don't know where that is written. How can you become an initiate? Is that on your site as well? Chris, watch my video on is initiation necessary? Watch that video first. It's free on YouTube. Tribal elders. I don't know what that means. I've already spoken ad nauseum on this topic of initiation. So I have video classes on that. So search. Okay, I'm not aware of it. The vulgar philosopher, I'm not aware of it. I'm not aware of it. All I'm aware of is that everybody's spirit and everybody's spiritual crew talks to them. But what you're talking about, unfortunately, I'm not aware of it. Okay. It's important for us to learn about different cultures and different spiritual traditions and different indigenous religions so that when we travel, when we go somewhere else, we are not ascribing false meanings to what we see or what we're experiencing. And so that's why, like, if you notice over the past few days, I'm talking about some European and American folk traditions that you may or may not be familiar with. Because we have people who are living in Europe and North America who weren't originally from here, and they're seeing these things and they don't know what it means. You know, they don't know what it means. And then they'll start ascribing strange beliefs. You know, I remember meeting an African American, a Black American in America who was scared of cats. And I asked her, "Why are you scared of cats?" And she says, "Because the Africans said that cats are evil." You are African American. You were born here. You've been here for at least 4 generations, at least, if not more. And you happen to get with some people from Africa, and I don't know what country in Africa, and they told you that cats are evil, and you believed it. Make that make sense. Did you ask them why they are afraid of cats? And if you ask them, "Why are you afraid of cats?" They will tell you, "Oh, in my culture, we believe that cats are evil." And if you pressed and you say to them, "Why is it that in your culture cats are considered evil?" They will not be able to answer you. They will say, "Oh, they're witches. The cats." Okay, how are cats witches? They wouldn't be able to answer that. So how would you go and take on somebody else's beliefs without questioning? You understand? You took it on without asking questions. Okay, so your spirituality is for you. Your spirituality should be experiential. Your spirituality should be an embodied knowledge. I know what works. Not just because Dr. Tochi said, but I have tasted this thing and it works. So what Scorpio Intuitive shared here. You need to embody your spiritual knowledge for it to work for you. If it's not embodied, and if you don't decondition your mind, Okay, and for those of you who are in advanced, what is it called? Apprentice Plus. Remember, we were talking about human design? The power of human design lies in the degree to which you can decondition yourself. That is why Rauru, Rauru, Ha, who, Rauru, said that the best candidates for human design are children, not adults. And he estimated only maybe 4% of adults can successfully use human design in their lifetime. So those of you who are in the advanced class, you know we're working with that now and how it applies to our spirituality. So we're not just looking at human design and yeah, anybody can go and look up human design. Anybody can go do that and read about their type and read about their authority, read about their strategy, read about that thing. But how does it apply to your spirituality? How does it help you embody your spirituality? That's what we're interested in. And that's just a method. We still have other methods to study. Human design is just one system. There are other systems we still yet have to study. But at the end of the day, I want to know how are you going to use that for your spirituality? How are you going to use it to embody your spirituality? How are you going to use that to navigate your spirituality? What is the deeper spiritual meaning of your strategy? What is the deeper spiritual meaning of your authority? Not just the definition given on the website. What does it mean at a spiritual level? Do I have any advanced member on TikTok who can come up right quick? Do I have any advanced member who can come up on TikTok right quick? You can put on your lipstick or put on your what is it that men put the beard thing? Okay, so come up, Elder Divinity. How do I do it? Okay, there you go. Yeah. Hello? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. How are you doing, Elder Divinity?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Enjoying today's class?
Very much so.
Oh,
Very much so.
look at you. Look at you. Hey, okay, so let me ask you this. I believe you're a generator.
Yes,
Okay. And what's your strategy?
my strategy is to wait and respond.
Yeah, wait to respond. Okay. So, what are you waiting for before you respond?
I'm waiting basically for my, I would say, my spirit to guide me.
No. What
To
what
let me know if something is right or if something is wrong.
no. Is that what the description said it meant?
Excuse me?
Is that what the description said it was, that you're waiting for your spirit to tell you if something is right or wrong?
It is for me to actually look for the guidance. I get that gut feeling.
Pardon me?
It's, it's, it is a gut feeling you get.
Okay, so what center is involved?
I am solar plexus sacred. I
No,
and it is my gut.
there are two. So is it the sacral center?
It's the sacred.
Okay, you're confusing me. Which center are we talking about here? I don't think I heard you.
Some call it your solar plexus. Some call it your sacred.
Actually, in the class we had, I was mistaken because I think you were talking about there's there isn't a sacred, there is a sacral, and and then there's a sacral, and then there's a solar plexus. But the generator is powered by the sacral and not the solar plexus. But I'm going to the website right now. Hold on. Because what it looks like is that there are some websites that show 5 centers, but there's supposed to be 9 centers. You still with me?
It's very heavy work.
Hold on, hold on. There's something I want to pull up here. So there are, yeah, 9 centers. So there is the head center, the throat center, the ego center, the sacral center, the root center, the ajna center, the G center, the solar plexus center, and the spleen center. So there's when we talk about the generator is supplied by the sacral center, even though the solar plexus center may be defined.
Right.
So there is a difference between def defined centers, because different people have different centers that are defined, but generators are powered from their sacral center. Okay. They're powered from their sacral center. And then the generator, okay, the generator's authority is waiting to respond. But then the question which I had asked earlier was, what are you waiting to respond to? It's not your sacral center only. You remember?
I have it in my notes.
Are you looking at your notes or you're looking at me? I don't even see you. Where are you?
I'm here.
I know, but I'm saying
I,
you didn't switch on your camera, so that's why I was like, "Where is she?" Okay, and I'm just looking at her. No, that's okay. You don't have to switch on your camera. That's fine. Oh, and you didn't do the assignment.
I am actually still pondering the assignment.
I cannot believe you just said that. I
Um,
cannot. I can't believe you said that. It's 3 weeks now, madam. 3 weeks. Okay. Okay. I don't.
but you know, What they said about the human is the generator frustration.
Oh God. And I think the person who put down the answer to the assignment is actually a generator. If you go there. Oh, okay. Scorpio Intuitive says, I will help her with her assignment.
Thank you. But no, I will have it done.
Oh my God. Oh my God, that is too funny. She said, I will help her with her assignment. So wait a minute. So that is funny. So this is funny. Okay, but here's the
Yes, the strategy is to wait to respond.
But what are you responding to?
To uh to opportunities, to thoughts.
No. What are you responding to?
Hmm.
We talked about it. What are you responding to? Think about it. Look at your notes.
What opportunities?
No. Okay. Absolute. She's also on TikTok as Honey Bunny Forever. This is what she wrote on YouTube. She says, cues from the world and how your intuition picks it up in your gut. Does that ring a bell?
Yes, it does.
Okay, what kind of bell does it ring?
It tells me that I first get a sign,
Tell me.
which is I will first get a sign from the universe.
Exactly. Environmental sign. Environmental cue. Environmental cue. So it's not from spirit, not from your spirit. Because remember, you said, oh, I'm going to wait for a sign from my spirit. You're not getting no sign from your spirit. It's environmental cue that lets you know that what you felt in your gut was correct. So you first get a cue from your gut. Then, after you get that cue from your gut, you wait to respond to the cue, the confirmation that comes from your environment. So it's a two-stage thing. There are two stages to how you respond. Are you with me?
I'm here with you.
Okay, so here. So let me test your knowledge. Let me test your knowledge, Elder Divinity. Oh my God. That is the funniest ish in the whole wide world. She's like, if you must. I'm, I'm trying not to cackle. I'm trying not to cackle. That's the funniest thing. She's like, if you must. Okay, so here, um, let me ask you this. So let's say, for instance, you have an idea to open a hoodoo shop. You just have an idea
Okay.
to open a hoodoo shop. How would you know as a generator that that's what you're supposed to do? Yes, it's all love, anybody. It's all love.
Really get a confirmation from either the animals around me. I would see certain, I'm thinking about the environment, certain,
No, hold on. Elder divinity. Think about the question I just asked.
I would ask the question, should I open up a hoodoo shop?
Who are you asking?
I would ask the those that govern, I guess, the environment, the and I would sit and
Hold
ponder
on.
on the question until I got a
No, hold on.
ring.
No. Remember I said there's step one and step two. Hold on. Absolute says keep the idea to yourself, sit with it, and look for cues outside of you for someone needing those services. Okay. So hold on. So Honey Bunny Forever, do you want to come up? Elder Divinity, just hold on. Hold on. Okay, so come up. Okay, accept. All right. So, Elder Divinity, you have a helper.
Okay, hi, Bunny.
Now you have a helper. So let me ask the question again and see if both of you can get it. So you're sitting one day minding your own business and you have an idea, you get an idea, a thought crosses your mind that you should open a hoodoo shop. The question is, should you or shouldn't you as a generator?
No.
Well, all right. Do you want me to answer? Like how I would move in that direction?
Hold on. Elder Divinity said no. Why did you say no?
Because it has to be, for me, it would have to be a duck response. Um, I
No.
would ask, like I said, I would ask the question to myself. I'm speaking to myself. I would get some kind of feeling, some kind of response if it was right or if it was wrong. It depends on the feeling that I'm getting. If it's a good feeling, then I would move forward. If it's a bad feeling, like all of a sudden I just feel nauseous or I have this jubilant
But
tingle.
Elder Divinity, that is not what the generator does. The generator doesn't say, "Oh, let me see if I have a good feeling or a bad feeling. Do I feel nauseous or not?" The way the generator determines is very, very clear. It's not a good feeling or a bad feeling. So let Honey Bunny jump in
Okay.
and give you a lifeline.
I
What did you
take that
say?
like
Okay. All right. So usually what happens with me, it goes almost exactly like this. If I have an idea about something,
Let's use the example that I provided. Let's use the example I provided so we're on the same page. You're sitting minding your own business and you have an idea.
the idea crossed my mind
Mhm.
and I would think about it and just maybe go a few steps into it. What it would be like to have it, what it would be like to achieve it. I would kind of just sit with the feeling of that particular thing inside of me and see if, first of all, if I feel okay to even sit in that thought. Then without saying anything to anybody else, I would literally look for signs outside of myself telling me that this is the direction I need to move in.
Okay,
I'll
you just jumped to stage 2. You haven't done stage 1 yet.
what is far as the actual sitting with it in my gut, and am I okay with the thought of doing the hoodoo shop?
Mm-mm,
Oh, I'm sorry.
mm-mm, mm-mm. For the generator, okay, so now let's help the helpline. The generator has a distinct way
Yeah.
of making decisions. And it's either uh-uh or uh-huh.
Right.
It is
Like
it
if
is very it is not I feel nauseous, is not oh I like the idea, is not I feel good about it.
still a cross between
No, ma'am.
like if I sit with a thought
No, ma'am.
and
No, ma'am.
like it,
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
go forward. If it doesn't sit well, then I retreat.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You have to the instructions are very clear. Should I open this hoodoo shop? What is the response that comes up? Is it uh-huh? In the moment.
It's like a it's like a
It's
it's like
not
a
like it's
burning desire inside of you, like
no, ma'am.
either hell yes or hell no.
No, 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 ma'am. No, ma'am. Because you are dealing. Remember the classes I taught about how spirit speaks? Spirit does not speak in sentences, it speaks in sensations. So the gentleman, Ra Uru, who put this together, said, this is the distinct way that the sacral speaks. This is the language of the sacral.
Okay.
And it's a guttural feeling. That's why it says, mm-hmm, or
It's like an inner knowing. It's like
No,
a
it's not a knowing. It's a sound. It's a sound.
it's like like yes, like go move. Like I don't know how to explain it, but it's like you just know, like yes.
But the person who put together the system says, this is what it is.
Okay.
You see, so you are putting your flavor on it. If, let's say, for instance, you said to me, I want to make a goosey soup. Okay. You have a number of ways of learning how to make it. You can go on YouTube, you can read a recipe, or you can observe somebody actually making it. But let's say, for instance, you went to a restaurant and you ate a particular egusi soup. To recreate that exact egusi soup, you cannot do it from YouTube. You have to do it from the person that you bought it from. Do you get what I'm saying? So the guy who put this thing together says, it is not words. It is not what is going through your mind. It is what the language the sacral speaks. And the sacral speaks these two languages, and That's the language of the sacral. And so even if you're getting an environmental clue, whatever you're getting from the environment should match or
What you're feeling inside.
not what you're feeling, what your sacral said.
Okay.
So that's why he says when the question is asked, you have to respond immediately, or not how you feel. See, because when you're sitting down and saying, oh, well, let me see how I feel inside, you have not asked the sacral. That's why in the instructions, he's very precise. When that question comes and it's immediate, you don't sit with it because you keep on repeating, I sit with it and see how I feel. I sit with it. He says there's no sitting with it. You pose the question and the immediate response that comes, immediate. There's no sitting with it. So if I put it to you now and I say, should I open a hoodoo shop? What's your response? You see that? So you've waited 2 seconds. That's too long.
Okay, so it's an immediate response.
Exactly.
I have a saying for that. You think long, you think wrong. That works for me. Like if I have to sit and think about something for too long, I kind of already know it is a no.
But he is not saying thinking. Again, this is not a thinking process. It has nothing to do with thinking. Okay, someone on YouTube says, Scorpio Intuitive says, kind of like the fight or flight response. Correct. If you're faced with something, do you sit there and say, well, let me sit with it and see how I feel? No, it's a response, it's a reflex action. Boom, this is what you're doing. It's immediate. But as long as you keep saying what I need to sit with it and then how I feel, no, your mind has come into it.
All right.
Okay, understand.
But
Yes, I got it.
so if I say, let's try this. Elder Divinity, would you like orange juice right now?
Uh-uh.
Okay. There's no sitting in it.
Yeah, okay.
There's no sitting in it. There's no sitting and seeing how you feel. Because we are conditioned, as adults, we're conditioned, that period of sitting and sensing is already being contaminated by our mind. That period of let me see how I feel, it's it's been contaminated, and your sacral center has not been consulted.
But then do you run the risk of leading a very hedonistic lifestyle if you're always so sacrally centered?
This is the authority of the generator.
Yeah.
I am
I
not
agree.
I am not a generator, so that's not my authority. I have a different way of making decisions. Okay. So for the manifesting generator and the generator, that's how they make decisions. And it must be immediate. Should I open that hoodoo store? Okay, that's it. Done. Move on. Now, you may, after getting that immediate response of your mind is like, yeah, but I like hoodoo stuff. I have experience with hoodoo stuff. Everybody tells me I'm good with hoodoo stuff. No, 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 no. What's step 2?
It would be cues in the environment,
Correct.
maybe speaking to me, saying like, no, you should move
Exactly.
in this direction.
Correct. Correct. Because now, even if you doubt what your sacral told you in that moment, you still wait for a response, still wait for the response from your environment. You wait.
Yeah.
And somebody will come to you and say, oh, you know what? Did you hear the news? Someone's hoodoo shop got burnt down.
Yeah.
That's a cue from your environment.
Yeah.
Or, oh, I was on TikTok and I saw 2 hoodoo people fighting each other on TikTok.
Mm. And it always happens exactly like that. Like you'll think something in your mind and you're on the fence about it, whatever, and then you'll see something in real life, and I'll be like, wow.
But if you give your sacral the first opportunity So you see that first step is critical. Have I asked my sacral that question? So now let's put it in a relationship situation. Is my significant other cheating on me?
Uh-uh.
Okay. Then now you wait for something in your environment to confirm that. That is the way the generator and the manifesting generator navigates the river of life with minimal energy disruption.
Yeah.
But if you sit down and say, and then you're there, well, I saw something like a red stain on the collar. Was that lipstick or blood? Then you see now your energy, then the conditioning comes in, then you remember the story somebody told you, remember the story you saw on TikTok. So even when the environment sends you a cue, you may not recognize it because your mind is consumed with your thoughts.
Okay.
So that's why step one is important, because step one is an anchor point. Without
See, I
that,
thought it was impulsive. I always thought that I was just being impulsive, like to be so quick moving and fast acting. But to be fair, it wouldn't always bite me in the behind, you know.
the
It
man of
would.
the manifester knows immediately. They don't wait, they don't sit with it. A manifester does not sit with it. A manifester just is like thinks it and goes to it. A manifester thinks it and goes to it. Oh, hoodoo shop, boom. Let me go register it. That's a manifester. But a manifesting generator still has to operate like a generator. A generator has the idea. The generator can be like, oh, that's a great idea. Oh, let me see how I feel about it. Do I feel nauseous? Do I feel pleasant? Am I getting butterflies? No, that's it. You missed the boat. The generator is, oh, I'd like to have a hoodoo store. Sit down. Should I have a hoodoo store? Immediately, what does the sacral say to you? Uh-huh or uh-uh. Immediately. There's no sitting, let me see how I feel, no, because again, you're trying, and that's why children are very good with this, and that's why he said the best candidates for this are children. Because as you're sitting there saying, I want to see how I feel with it, you have no guarantee that your thoughts about it are not contaminating how you interpret what you're feeling in your body. What was your question?
When you're fast to react to something, that's as an adult, that's what people label you as. They label you as like child or childlike because to them it seems like there's no thought process behind the decisions that you make when you are just like you said going with your gut.
Because
It's
you
like,
are
no,
a
if my
generator.
gut is telling me to move.
But you're a generator, so you can do it. Not everybody can do it.
Yeah, it always works out for me. Like I when I do too much thinking, that's when I get into trouble. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So you're not sitting now. I'm a projector. I can't sit and start saying how does it feel in my body. It's not going to work because how I feel in my body depends on who I'm with. So I can't do that. So if I'm sitting with you and I say, oh, should I open a hoodoo store? And because you're a generator, I'll probably say yes. And you didn't even have to tell me anything. And the reason why I would say yes is because I'm tapping into your sacral energy, sacral center energy like a vampire.
Yeah.
Manifestors, projectors, and reflectors are like energy vampires. We're like energy vampires in a good way.
Mm.
So if you are feeling positive about that question, I'm going to feel positive about it because I'm tapping into how you feel about it. If you don't feel good about it, I'll be tapping into your energy and I will not feel good about it. Reflectors are the same way too. Manifestors are not so much that way if they're following their authority. So the question now, Elder Divinity, is this: how do you interpret this in a spiritual manner?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear all of that. I heard some background. Could you repeat it, please?
How do you interpret what we just said in a spiritual sense? What does it mean, wait to respond, spiritually speaking? So we talked about how waiting to respond means waiting for cues from your environment, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now spiritually speaking, what does that mean?
It means I wait to see signs. If I ask the question and I get an aha, then I would get a sign, and spiritually that would be for me to move forward.
Think about what you just said. That's not correct. Think about what you just said. So for those of you on YouTube going, what is going on? This is what happens in the advanced class. Okay. And this okay, and this is what happens in the retreats. I'm not sitting here and handing you the answers.
It makes us have to really dig deep and learn, and like I'm personally sitting here going over like my whole life experiences, like wow, I'm learning about myself.
So what's the answer to the question? How do you interpret that phrase waiting to respond, spiritually speaking?
Um
Trust yourself.
I
Pardon me?
feel oh, I'm sorry.
Trust in yourself. You've
How
got
did
the
we
answer.
how did we get to just be yourself?
In your sacred in your sacred.
What?
She's like,
No, 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 no,
some kind of
no,
answer,
no,
the right one.
no. No, no, no.
Is it like waiting for what, a response from your environment to confirm what you feel inside?
That's what you just said earlier. So now I'm saying, how would you translate that in a spiritual sense? And if there's anyone on YouTube or TikTok who feels they can answer it, you can put it in the comment section.
I don't know. Is it like the universe is answering you back?
Scorpio Intuitive said, spiritually speaking, waiting for sensations, signs, and symbols. That's from the environment. But what kinds of sensations, signs, and symbols? Let's see where Scorpio Intuitive is going with this.
Hmm. Is it oh man, I don't know how I would explain it. Is it cues from the worldly, from the world, eh, ref- reflecting upon what you have inside? No.
I'm also waiting for Scorpio Intuitive to elaborate because I think she's there.
Is it like, I don't know, like symbols? I don't know.
Scorpio Intuitive, you were headed Scorpio Intuitive, you were headed towards the target, and then someone offered you a Big Mac and you left the trajectory and started going.
I like synchronicities. I like synchronicities.
Nope. Has nothing to do with that. Scorpio Intuitive, let me read what she wrote earlier, which showed she was on the right trajectory before she got distracted by a Big Mac here. Okay. Spiritually speaking, waiting for sensations, signs, and symbols. Who or what are the sensation, signs, and symbols coming from?
Where are they coming from? Well, aren't they going to be personal to you? Like if you see like a blue butterfly or just something personal to you?
I'm not asking what is happening to you. I said, where are they coming from? Crees said ancestors or guides and then switched around and said intuition. Okay, so Crease, you're chasing after your tail here. You and Scorpio Intuitive is like you guys, they were just like a pair of hounds. You know, they were going and they were following the scent, and then somebody threw another like a red herring, and then they got distracted and they kind of took off in a totally different direction. That's funny.
Um,
The sign, okay, Scorpio Intuitive says the signs, symbols, and sensations come from deep inside us. Nope.
is it
Nope.
like signs out in the actual 3D world?
No,
That
this is not complicated. This is not complicated. Crees 8632 already said it. Ancestors or guides. That's it. What are you waiting to respond to? I'm not saying how do you respond. And all of your returning to how you respond, that's not the question. The question is, spiritually speaking, what are you waiting to respond to?
oh, oh, sign from the universe,
No,
from the spirit world.
correct. And that's what Cree's 8632 said earlier, ancestors or guides. And then before I could say anything, started typing intuition and then started typing, I know, yes, I know I am chasing after my own tail. And Scorpio Intuitive is saying that was such an easy answer. Yeah, but you answered that correctly. I mean, you were on the trajectory and then started taking off. The question was, what are spiritually speaking, what are you responding to? Not how are you responding? And Honey Bunny Forever, do you now see why the man who put this together said first response? Do you see how your mind is generating answers and counter answers and counter answers?
Yeah.
Do you see how the mind works? Because your mind, first of all, your mind is in this direction and you didn't think about the question. I said, spiritually speaking, what does waiting to respond mean? What are you responding to? If on the first level is you're waiting to respond to the cues from the environment, and then both of you said yes. Then on a spiritual level, what are you waiting to respond to?
Waiting for our spirit guides.
Period.
I think too much. I need to go back to drinking wine.
Okay.
I do too much thinking.
Okay. So,
Waiting for our spirit guides, our spiritual team, our crew.
so do you see that this rabbit hole can go very deep?
Extremely deep.
Yeah.
Extremely deep.
So let me ask this question.
Wow.
So you're sitting down minding your own business, and the thought crosses your mind, I should open a hoodoo shop. What do you do?
I ask my sacred chakra, my, I ask my sacral. And if it's yes, I'll get a or I'll get a If I get a then my second response is my second action is to wait to hear from my spirit guide if it's the right thing.
Yeah.
You're waiting for your spirit.
But then again, my sacred chakra already told me it is the right thing because I got a. So now I'm asking my spiritual crew, how do I move forward with my
So do you see how you have changed the system and now you're doing what you want to do?
I do.
Wow.
Did you see did y'all hear what Elder Divinity did right there? This is what she said. She said, I will ask my sacral center and see if it says uh-huh or uh-uh. If my sacral center says then I will not do anything about it. But if it says then what I'm going to do is I will now turn around and ask my spirit guides, my spiritual crew to confirm. Is that what she's supposed to be doing?
Yes.
Really? Crease 8632 says no. Why do you say no? And Honey Bunny Forever, why do you say yes?
I always say yes. Life is more fun when you say yes. Just go for it and figure it out later. But no, I mean, her explanation, it it sounded like a good one to me. Like I think she was there.
Is that what she is supposed to do? She got a from her sacral center. Then her next thing is to go ask her spiritual crew to confirm that her is correct. Is that's what she's supposed to do?
I'm supposed to wait and respond.
Wait and respond to what?
Hmm. For the for my spiritual crew, I get I I'm I'm saying my spiritual crew to confirm and to give me direction.
Can you repeat that again?
I'm waiting for my spiritual crew to confirm and give me direction.
But you said you were going to ask them to confirm. Is that the same thing?
No, it's not the same thing. I'm waiting for their response to let me know that it's okay to go forward.
What do you mean their response? Did you ask them to respond to anything?
Because then they will give me some kind of sensation that I'm on the right direction. I'm going in the right direction.
So what are you doing? So clarify to me what you're doing. So you're gonna invite them to your altar and say, "Hey, here's what my sacral said I should do." What do you guys say?
Wait for the environment, which would be my spiritual crew giving direction on how I should proceed. So if I get someone is going to, or someone or something is going to say to me, "Oh, why don't you do this? I don't understand why you're not doing this." If it's uh, then I will hear something negative happening regarding that kind of venture.
So can you explain to Honey Bunny forever the difference? What the correction you just made now?
The correction would be my the spiritual crew is going to give you the answers without you even. It's going to give you signs. It's going to give you signals, things of that nature to guide you and to lead you. And if it's a, like I said, if it's a something or someone or something will direct you in letting you know that you're absolutely right. This is what you should be doing. If it's a then something in the environment will let you know that no, you should not be doing this, and you are correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say you asked the question, the thought came to your mind, I would like to open a hoodoo shop. You asked your sacral, should I open a hoodoo shop? And immediately your sacral said, uh-huh. And then you're waiting to respond. Okay. Then you had a dream, okay, where in the course of the dream, someone took you to a hoodoo shop and was showing you things in the hoodoo shop. Then when you woke up from the dream, you opened up TikTok and you saw somebody's hoodoo shop on fire. So what would you do?
Um, I that would kind of give me pause. That I would say that would give me pause. It's like it's something I want.
It shouldn't give you pause. The answer is very clear.
It still does not deter me from opening up my voodoo shop. Just
Why?
because another voodoo shop caught on fire does not necessarily mean that mine would be affected when
But
I've already gotten the
no, but you remember your decision is not based on your 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 decision strategies wait for your environment, wait to respond from your environment. So everybody out here is saying, oh yeah, your sacral said just plow forward, do it,
Yeah,
plow forward.
yeah. I want to know why did their hoodoo shop burn down? Like I don't know. Like I want to investigate it.
I noticed that no one is paying attention to the question I posed. and how I pose the question.
I would go with my dream because my dream is I'm actually in a hoodoo shop. I'm being led around the hoodoo shop, introduced to different items that this merchant is showing me.
But you opened TikTok and saw someone's voodoo shop on fire.
And my question would be, who did they piss off?
And my question to you is, what are you responding to in your environment?
I don't know. I'm still thinking about the fire in the shop. It would give me pause and I'd be like, hey, are you guys trying to tell me something? Are you telling me to pause? Are you telling me not here, not now, investigate why there was a fire?
Listen to what I asked again.
Yeah.
How would you respond? The thought came crossed your mind. You asked your sacral immediately said, uh-huh.
I would
You
just
went to
wait
let me
until I
finish.
got the response that it's
Let me
okay.
finish, Mama. Let me finish. Let me finish. You haven't listened to what I said, and so you're just answering out of pocket. Listen. You're sitting down. You have the thought, I would like to open a hoodoo store. Then you ask your sacral immediately. Your sacral says, uh-huh. Then you go to sleep, and then you had a dream where you were being shown around a hoodoo shop and shown things in a hoodoo shop. You wake up from that dream and you open up TikTok. You're still in bed, like most of us will do. You're still in bed, open up TikTok, and one of the first things you see on TikTok is someone's hoodoo shop being consumed by fire. So now I have narrated the context. How do you respond? What will be your response? What will be your decision?
Would I be saying to the universe or to spirit, is that a warning to me personally? Or
Now, I would ask my sacred again, are these warning signs?
Golly. Okay, I'm just laughing.
I mean, that's how I would usually, if I wanted to do something, if I really wanted to do something,
Mhm.
and then I saw something to the contrary, I would say like, wow, like was that supposed to be a warning for me? Is that something I need to investigate, fall back on? Like, was that for me, or is that just a test to see how bad I want it? And do
But
I keep going
but
forward?
what's happening here is that you are not using the criteria that this man provided, so clearly provided to operate this authority correctly. The guideline for using this is very clear.
Wait and respond.
Izuli says assign to open one because ours is needed.
What are you mean going back to the huh or sound? Like if we see the fire, what is our first thought to say huh or
Hold on, I want to see what folks are writing in YouTube. If anybody's getting this, we have to be present to pick up signs. Okay, so what I see that is happening here, ladies, is that just like Honey Bunny forever said, we are overthinking this thing. we're already overthinking this thing. Remember how at the beginning, y'all were saying, no, I'll see how I feel. And, if I feel nausea, if I feel this and that, but the guidelines are very clear. It's either not how you feel. That's the step one. Your feelings are not involved. You're listening to your body.
Okay.
Your feelings are dependent on the interpretation from your mind. You're going with what the but see, and that's one thing in spirituality I think sometimes we get confused with, because just like you were saying, we start overthinking things even when the instructions are clear and direct. The first thing, ask your sacral center, not your solar plexus, not any other center. Ask the sacral center. So your sacral center, according to this scenario, said, which is a yes, right? Then you went to bed and you had a dream of a hoodoo store. And you were being shown around this hoodoo store. And we just talked about the two levels of confirmation. One is environmental from the physical world, and confirmation environmental from the spiritual world. We just talked about that, did we not?
Yeah.
When we have a dream, that is an environmental confirmation from the spiritual world.
Spiritual world.
Signs, symbols, and sensations, correct? There is nowhere in that dream description I said that you were being taken around that hoodoo shop and somebody was chasing after you with a machete or a pitchfork. They were gladly showing you around the store and showing you things in the store. Okay. So now you wake up. That's a positive dream, correct?
Yeah.
You wake up, then you go on TikTok and you see someone's hoodoo store on fire. What has that got to do with you? It has nothing to do with you, because the instructions said after step one, which is receiving a response from the sacral center, you wait for a response from your environment. Your environment gave you a response, which was the dream. Anything coming after that is noise. It didn't say. It didn't. It did
totally.
Hold on. Hold your horses, ma'am. Hold your horses, ma'am. Let's unpack this.
Yeah.
You get the response from the sacral. You wait to respond. The environment will give you a response. It didn't say eternally wait for a response for your environment. Because if you are waiting eternally, then that means the response you're waiting to respond to from your environment will never end. Because you could be two days down the road, you see something about a hoodoo store. What are you going to do? Change? And then maybe a week later, you see something else about a hoodoo store. You change again? And then maybe 1 month down the road, somebody says something about a hoodoo store. Do you change again? So the instructions were response from sacral, respond to wait to respond from the cue that comes from your environment. The first cue that came was that dream. That's it. The two steps are completed. If you're now looking at that video on TikTok, you're on your own arbitrarily adding a step 3. There are no 3 steps. There are
Yeah.
2 steps.
Okay.
Step 1, I asked my sacral, it said, I went to bed at night, I had a dream. The dream showed me somebody taking me through hoodoo shop, showing me everything. Once I wake up, that's it, it's a done deal. I don't care anything that happens after that because I have fulfilled the 2 steps, sis.
I agree. Because I've done it, and my friends will say, But you're crazy. You didn't see what was on the news. You didn't." I'll be like, I don't care. I'm still doing it. It's a thing. I'm doing it. And I'll just plow right ahead. So, okay, I got it.
And there's another level to this too.
Girl.
And there's yet another level to this too.
Okay.
And there's yet another level to this too. But I'm going to bed now.
Okay.
So you're gonna leave us hanging.
Trying to fine tune my sacral, my solar plexus, realign my chakras.
Elder Divinity's like sweet. Do you know it's after midnight? I was supposed to come in for about 45 minutes, an hour, and you know it's never going to be 45 minutes. And then now we started having fun. And you're here saying should I be up all night?
Well, yeah, I got sacral things to do. So yeah. Sacral doesn't pop until after midnight.
Oh my God. Yeah, so you go do your sacral things for after midnight. Wasn't it a new moon yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah, it
In
was a new moon.
Capricorn.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Scorpio Intuitive. And Scorpio Intuitive, once that your first thought, you were on the right track before you allowed yourself to be distracted by the red herring. You know. So ladies, thank you very much for hanging out with me. But then again, so for those of you who've, come to my retreats and attended retreats with me and workshops and who are in the Apprentice Plus class, this is what we do there. So we sit down and we think about the material. You have to think your way through the material. And that's why during the retreats, I say to people, when I ask one person a question, the other people need to remain quiet. Because when you jump in, because you feel, oh, let me help this person answer the question, you are not allowing them to learn and arrive at the conclusion themselves. You are short circuiting their learning process. Okay. So, and everybody's process is different. There's some people, they will be like, oh, okay, yeah, they go from here, point A to point B. And pure manifestors are like that. They can go from point A to point B if they're operating in their manifesting energy. Projectors are like that too. They can go point A to point B. But generators and manifesting generators sometimes need a little bit of time to chew the meat. They need to chew on that piece of meat for a little bit. But once they get it, they're tenacious. That they're really tenacious with it. And so my challenge to everybody who is in class and who will listen to this replay later is this. There are so many systems out there. This is just one of several. How can you use this for your spiritual lifestyle? Okay. Because most people, when I talk about this, they're like, yeah, tells me my personality and, what I like and what I don't like and what. But at the end of the day, how does that help you get what you want? I could pose a question to these two ladies here. One is a generator, the other one is a manifesting generator. If I pose the question, I'm not saying you should answer it now, but if I pose the question and I said, okay, let's say you want to buy a new car, how can you use this information to help you buy a new car or get a new car? Let me not use buy because I want to open that field as open as possible. So you want a good, reliable car. How can you use what we just discussed this evening to get you a new reliable car?
Um, um,
You see, this is where the rubber hits the road.
just go and start car shopping for, for what I want.
How does that fit with your manifesting generator type? How does it leverage your manifesting generator type? See, at this point, well, thank you very much for the gift. How 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 does it leverage? How can you leverage your type? See, what is happening is that a lot of us are still wrestling with concepts from law of attraction. Oh, go to the car dealership, see if you can drive around in the car, smell the new car smell, touch the car,
Want on my
get,
computer.
get pictures, create a vision board, and God willing, trusting God, God is watching, the car will come.
Hmm.
Okay. So we wait for magic to happen. But the question is, I'm a manifesting generator or I'm a generator. How can I leverage this information I have to get this car? So I'm not spending time doing vision boards. I'm not visualizing. I'm not going to bother some people at the car dealership and they're looking at me and looking at my shoes and they know I don't have no money to come buy this car and they're just humoring me because there's no one else on the lot. How do I save myself all of that and get that car that I want? What is within the realm of possibilities, plural, not possibility, singular, but possibilities, plural. What is within the field of potentialities, plural, that I can lay my hands on and get that car?
Okay.
Ask for it.
You asked the question, should I get a new car first?
Okay. Oh, you want to answer it?
Well,
I
I
want
would,
a car.
I would ask the question, should I get a new car first?
Oh, okay. You're telling me what you would do. Good morning, Lucian.
If I get a car, then I will wait for my environment to, uh, my spiritual crew to give me signs. If I see a Jeep Wrangler and I'm seeing it constantly, that might be a sign that that's the car that you need to get.
Really? What was the question you asked your sacral center?
Should I get a new car?
Hi, Onyinye Chukwu. Okay, so help me follow your train of thought. Should I get a new car? You got, uh-huh. Then you say you're going to wait for your environment, and then you start seeing Jeep Wrangler, Jeep, whatever, and you conclude that that's the car you should get. Is that is that what you asked your sacral center? Did you ask your sacral center if you should get a Wrangler?
No.
So how do you know? You're seeing one Wrangler, two Wranglers. Are those the only cars that you're seeing all day?
No.
No, I wouldn't say it like that. I would be like, I I need a car. What do I want? And I I probably would say it like that. And then as soon as I, you know, look out in the environment and I see the car that I want, I would go get it.
Both of you are swimming at the deep end of the swimming pool. What you just described now is the strategy for making decisions. You don't have a car. So, how are you making decisions about something you haven't firmly fixed in your mind you're getting? I'm going to ask my sacral if I should get a car. A car is an essential in this part of the world. It's just like saying, I'm going to ask my sacral, should I eat?
Okay. This actually just happened to me, so I should know this answer. I'm like, I need a car,
Okay.
and
So,
I knew exactly what kind of car I wanted.
opening a hoodoo store is optional. You don't have to open a hoodoo store.
Yeah.
But do you need a car? Unless you're living in somewhere like Toronto or New York, you need to have a car.
Yeah, I needed a car, and in my personal environment, the guy right across the street from me a day or two later put a car out for sale. That's the one incident that happened. And then the second incident is that the dream car I wanted is being offered in a sweepstakes. So I asked the neighbor across the street, can I have the car that he's selling? Can I borrow it? He said, yeah. And I entered into the sweepstakes for the dream car. So I needed a car and I said, hey, I need a car. And then I looked out side of myself and boom, there was two opportunities to get a car.
Okay. So you had an opportunity. Did you get the car?
Neither one of them are mine right now. No. I have access to use the one across the street.
So that's why I
And
asked. So you see, my dear, that's why I asked that question. How can you take information like this and start thinking about it in a way that will enable you to manifest what you want? If I want a car, I am not going to be asking my sacral if I should get a car or not.
is this a matter of visualization?
We are talking about human design. Is there anywhere in human design he talked about visualization?
No.
Okay. So we're coloring within the lines here.
Mhm.
You should be able to make whatever system you study work for you. So again, if I want a car, if I need a car, I am not asking my sacral if I should get a car. That is common sense. It's just like me saying, I'm going to ask my sacral if I should eat or not. I need a car. No ands, ifs, or buts. I need a car.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit and say, okay, my sacral, do I need a car or not?
Okay.
So I will
Yeah,
leave.
the cars that went, the guy across the street was selling one, so I asked him, "Can I use it?" He ain't
Yeah,
gonna give it to me.
but using it doesn't mean you own it. I want a car.
Yeah, I don't really want that car anyway, but
So my question remains, how do you use your type? How do you leverage that to get the car, to get what you want? So that's an assignment.
is that where rituals come in? Is that where rituals come in?
Does the human design guy talk about rituals? Is there anywhere in the human design website that talks about rituals?
How to figure out how to get it.
Okay. So when we're looking at systems like human design and other systems similar to that, first of all, you need to understand what you are studying, what you're looking at. These are
Okay.
these are embodiment systems.
Hmm.
They're not ritual systems. They're not law of attraction systems. They are embodiment systems.
Hmm.
So, should I leave it as an assignment for advanced class, Elder Divinity?
Embodiment.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. And I'm going to let the other members of the advanced class that you impose this assignment on them.
Definitely.
Okay. Y'all can duke it out.
Exactly. And I can get some help.
Y'all can duke it out.
I'm still on the car thing. I'm still on the car thing.
Yeah, so the
I feel
car
like I'm
thing,
almost there because this is like a real life scenario.
because the car thing has now been assigned as an assignment to the advanced students.
Because I really need a car, so we gonna figure this out.
So that's what I'm saying. It's been given as an assignment to the advanced students now.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Sure.
Yeah.
because it is strange. Like this only just happened the other day, and like I said, almost as soon as I said, "Damn, I really need a car," that's when the access of two cars came through. Well, the access to one, and then like you know the contest with the other came through in a matter of like a day. So at least something came to the table to respond to my request.
Hmm. So why don't you sit back and wait for the advanced students to figure it out?
All right. Well, they better come up with some because I do need a car.
Well, Elder Divinity is there now. She's an advanced student, so she is giving you a word that they're going to work on it as an assignment.
Yeah, y'all.
Kill me.
Y'all need to come through for Honey Bunny because Honey Bunny need that ride for
Oh,
real.
okay, so Elder Divinity, you heard she need a car. She need a CAR.
You need to stop.
Okay.
There's the hoopty across the street, and then there's the Land Rover in the contest.
Okay. So your work has been cut out for you, Elder Divinity.
Oh,
So again,
When
just
convene.
whenever they get the answer to it. I'm gonna be on tomorrow anyway, but I don't know if they'll have an answer by then. So
Okay.
yeah. So again,
I come up with an answer myself because I'm really curious to know how to better use my gifts and abilities.
okay.
So
So you see, so this is what we mean by practical spirituality. So we can spend all day long learning about dried cats embedded in walls and things of that nature, witch bottles and so on and so forth.
here goes another thought. Here goes another thought to my answer with the car. Now I know manifest generators are supposed to like what feel it in their sacral, and they're also supposed to be aligned with I believe their throat chakra.
That's incorrect. Generators and manifesting generators are not supposed to be feeling in their sacral centers.
They're responding to it.
They're not responding to it. Elder Divinity, what do they do with their sacral centers?
it's the question.
Thank you.
You have, once we ask the question, we'll get a
That's it.
Okay.
The energy of the generators and the manifesting generators comes from the sacral center, but there's nowhere in there it says you need to go there and be feeling it. And you keep on coming back to this feeling. You keep on coming back to sensing and what's in there, feeling it. There's nowhere in there it says you have to do that. And so the reason why you're struggling with this is because of conditioning, the way your mind has been conditioned. And so you have been conditioned by life, your environment, by people around you, by what you've read, what you've watched, that you have to be out there sensing, but that is not your strategy. And so that's a conditioning that you have to give up in order to move forward. The rest of us who have been conditioned to behave like and think like manifestors and generators, work, 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 make things happen, make things happen, make things happen. But that's not our strategy. But we were raised that way and conditioned that way, and the world expects us to be out there just doing and doing and doing and doing and doing.
So
That is not what
the next thing I was gonna say, all right, so if not the throat chakra, but would it be a scenario to where I just put it out there that I need a car, like just let it be known, like holla at your girl, I need a car.
Well, what can the manifesting generator do?
Tell anybody that will listen that I need a car.
Really?
Friends, family.
Really? You need to go study the type again, not guess. Go study. I need to go to sleep. I'm exhausted. We've been on here for almost 3 hours and 30 minutes. I'm beginning to feel like a TikToker. Tap, 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 tap the screen, tap the screen, tap, tap, tap. Let us get up to 100. If we get up to 100, then I'll tell you the secrets of the universe. Tap, 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 tap. I'm going to get.
thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Tochi.
You're quite welcome, my dears. You're quite welcome. And Elder Divinity, You haven't done your assignment. I'm going to call all of you out. Only one of you did the assignment and put up the assignment. So, I'm gonna call y'all out.
I will get it done. I
That's
will get it done.
okay. So folks want to win. Folks want to win.
Like me.
Okay, if you say so. So, thank you, ladies. How do you hop off of these things? I don't know. Okay. If I touch it, let's see what happens. Oh, disconnect. Hold on. Let me hit the disconnect button. Oh, okay. All right. Disconnect. Oh, yeah, you can disconnect. They can still be a viewer and request to reconnect later. Oh, okay. All right. Disconnected them. Oh, wow. Okay. Disconnect. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming to impromptu class. I hope we had fun. Thank you for all of you who participated. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something new. This is the sort of thing we do at my retreats and workshops. Okay. This is what we do in our retreats and workshops. And we're going to have a retreat, a new one starting up on the 25th in 5 days' time. Reclaim your authority. And we actually go into practicals. Okay, so it's not just talk, 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 talk. We actually practice, and we start uh, doing things to start putting our spiritual lives, the spiritual lifestyle, and practices in order. This is what your spiritual practice should look like, and this is what your spiritual life should look like. Practical. That you're able to look at a problem and say, how do I use what I know at the level where I am now to solve this problem that is in front of me? That is where you want to be with your spirituality. Not being worried about, oh, am I initiated, not initiated? Am I powerful? I'm not a powerful. Do I have spiritual gifts, not have spiritual gifts? Do I have a man or not a man? Do I have a woman, not a woman? Your priority should be, how can I become wealthy? Physically wealthy, emotionally wealthy, intellectually wealthy, financially wealthy, and spiritually wealthy, so that I can solve any and all problems that come my way. All right? That's the most important thing. And you need to understand that if you don't do what you need to do to improve your life, there's only so much your spirit guides will do for you. There's only so much your orishas will do for you. There's only so much that your gods and goddesses and deities will do for you. There's only so much that your elementals will do for you. There's only so much that your ancestors will do for you. Okay? We're thankful to our Creator, our guardian spirits, and our ancestors and our spirit guides for today's forbidden fruit and for the fun we had today in class. Ashay. We say, Kumaga, Takoza, Lasedi, Makwande, Aibobo, it is done, is finished, is complete. Amen. Amen. Inyan ho. Ma'at. See y'all later. Love you all.